Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Hope everybody is well. Hope you all enjoyed having a bit of a week off from me, as much as I enjoyed having a week away on holiday with the family. Hope everybody's had a good weekend. Hope you're all feeling suitably Monday-tastic. How is everybody? Let me know in the chat what you've been up to. We haven't chatted for what is it? Yeah, it's been 2 weeks because we missed a week. We haven't chatted for 2 weeks. Let me know what you've been painting. Let me know what you've been playing. Let me know what you've been buying on your hobby trips. Let me know what you've been up to. Well, let's start with a little look in the chat and see who we've got tonight. Nice and early, Super Pumpkin Man. Good evening to you, sir, or good morning as it is for you. Kodos, good evening to you as well, my friend. Ian is in as well there. Lord Maiden, hello, buddy. Al Cluley, howdy to you too. So, said it's to you too. He said, hope you and the family had a banging holiday. We did, mate. We had a very nice time. Thank you very much. I don't know if you can be able to tell on camera there. I do have a little bit of colour in my cheeks. So, yeah, I did manage to get a bit of sunshine on my skin. Blizzards, good evening to you, buddy. Ice Moon's in as well. Hello. Hello, Christian Reeves. Nice to see you, fella. Peter Kuhlman, good evening to you. Blair Smith says, hope you had a good break. I did. Thank you very much. We've got Ed in as well there as well, Major Tom. Players in Exile, good evening to you. Says, is there a hot topic for this evening's chitty chat? Do you know what it is, mate? I didn't actually get back from holiday. I didn't actually get back like into the house till just after 5 o'clock, I think it was. And then I kind of had to empty the cases, put some clothes in the wash, had to sort of have dinner, spend a little time with the little one, kind of getting him settled back in the house because he's had school in the morning, get the studio set up for tonight's stream. So actually, whilst I have about 2 or 3 topics in the bank for future Mondays, I haven't really had the time today to put the effort into kind of sort of formulating a coherent kind of chat. So I think tonight, we're going to kind of wing it for a change. I haven't done that in a while. We're just going to have a chat. We're going to see what everybody's been up to. We'll just have a bit talk about hobby and we'll talk about geeky stuff like we do sometimes. But if anybody's got any pressing questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If you want to put at BlackJack Legacy for anything you want to ask, any questions you've got, let me know and that'll highlight it to me and I'll be able to see it. So there's no particular special topic tonight, but I'm sure we always find things to talk about. Tasty Brain Drain, good evening, good morning, VJ. Hope the run's going well. Tasty Brain Drain says, congrats, Andy, on reaching 15,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. Yes, that did happen. I think it was last weekend, I think it happened. I can't remember now. I forget when it happened, but yes, 15,000 subscribers is not a bad thing. It's one of those things that doesn't actually mean anything. Like, I don't suddenly get sort of showered with gifts. I don't suddenly start making any more money or anything like that. But it's a nice little milestone for me. It's nice to see those little things creeping up, and the next one it'll be nice to see 20,000 maybe one day in the future. So yes, thank you very much for that, buddy. It was very kind of you to say so. Anna's in as well. Hello, Anna. How are you doing? VJ saying it's 5 a.m. VJ, commitment to the cause, buddy. Jez Hunt, hello to you as well, mate. How the devil are you doing, sir? Where are we here? Ortega, he's saying he can't stay tonight. Hope to see you in the rerun. Nice to see you, fella. We've got Robert Zunk, says he's stopping to say hi. He's running some errands. Tabletop Transformer says, ooh, new background. Do you know, it's because we haven't got a particular topic tonight, mate. Just thought I'd bang that. I don't know if you kind of realise, but this is just the TV behind me, which is connected to my PC where I run the streams and stuff from. So it just means I can kind of change the background up. Means it keeps it fresh and interesting. If I'm talking about firefight, we can have a firefight background. If we're just having a rambly chat, I'll just put a kind of a nice little kind of, what would we call it? Bit of artistic artwork there, I think. Marco, hello to you, buddy. Nice to see you. RPD's in. Good evening to you as well. Yoakum, good evening, matey. How are you doing? Sleepy Jake says, 8-ball. Nice to see you. Anna says, just painted a full warband of 3D printed toads for Burrs and Badgers. Oh, still playing a bit more Burrs and Badgers, eh? Ed's painting his Harlequins. He said he's determined to get a full kill team done. Kenneth Paulson, good evening to you. Mark Horniff says, looking rested. I had 3 kids with me, mate. I'm not that rested, I'll be honest. I'm just putting on a brave face and running on caffeine, mate. I think that's what it is. He's painting Drop Zone Commander tonight. VJ says, sunshine on the skin. Aren't the British allergic to that? I think my oldest lads were. I think they come back whiter than they went. But I like a little bit of sunshine now and again. My wife goes quite a kind of like a nice brown colour when she gets into the sun. I think she must have some kind of some Mediterranean blood in her somewhere in her heritage. But I don't tend to burn too much, but I don't tend to go very dark skinned. It's hard to tell with the lights and stuff here, but I'm definitely not as white as I was, put it that way. Paul Taylor, good evening to you, matey. Peter says he's assembling the second box of Nova Tarties, is that? I'm not really sure what they are, buddy. AR910, greetings to you. Vicious in bacon chat. I didn't have any bacon for the last week. There you go. There's a topic for chatting. Peter, therefore, Kill Team. Plays in Exile says, freestyling. I'm going to be making Stormtroopers and Rebels from the Legion box while listening in. Busey says, good evening, how was it in Butlins? You wish, mate. We've been to Lanzarote for a week, mate, so we flew out last Monday, which is why there was no live stream last Monday, and we've been there for a week. So there was me, my wife, my little boy, and my two oldest lads as well. So the 5 of us have been out there for a week, and it was very pleasant. The weather was beautiful. It's been very hot. It's been very sunny. We've had some nice food, some nice drinks, some time in the pool, a little bit of sunbathing. I wouldn't say it was relaxing as such. Trying to keep a 5-year-old and 2 19-year-olds occupied for the week. But yes, it was enjoyable nonetheless. Colin Wakeland, good evening to you. Tabletop Transformer says, have you played the new Hero Quest? I'm not the slightest bit interested in me. I'm not that much of a massive fan of Hero Quest. Anyway, I think it's a bit dated. I think there's not a lot of nostalgia around it. I still own the original one in the loft, which I was kind of in the middle of painting and got sidetracked from. I'm honestly not that attached to it myself, if I'm honest. VJ says, do we get a happy dance? Not tonight, we don't, mate. Not tonight. Wayne says, evening everyone. He's working on Legion Stormtroopers. James Zorm, good evening to you, matey. Says he's been torturing himself with some Warcry terrain, had to take a break from it. Coda says he's been in here early, and then my connection is right off at the start. Oh dear. Zingbo, good evening to you, mate. He says he's having a quiet evening today. Got a COVID booster, so he's taking it easy. Bobby Clark's in as well. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Said he's painting some Malifaux and also painting some bolt action for you. Painting for yourself, mate. That's unheard of. Good to see, though. Good to see. Tabletop Transformers says, have you tried one-page rules? I haven't, mate. I've read them. They seem fine. It's one of those games that I'll never get anybody to play because nobody anywhere local plays that. So for me, it's more a case of I'm not a huge fan of kind of technically miniature agnostic stuff because I feel like it's a really, for me, in my kind of sort of sphere of influence of friends and family and stuff that plays games, it makes it a bit more confusing for the fact that there's all different types of stuff from different manufacturers, which just makes it confusing. I think it's a great idea. I think other people enjoy it, just not for me. Blizz says he got his Firefight pre-order this morning. Nice one, mate. Said he's been hunting for instructions on assembling the flyers. The flyers instructions are the big flyers. Okay, if you check online, mate, I think there might be some instructions that Mantic have been starting to put up. I don't know, or certainly I think Andy Sharp did so on the Way to Fire. If you can't find any, Google it or YouTube search it. There might be some videos up there showing how they're. If there's not, mate, let me know. I'll make some videos about them. David Milano, hello to you. Greetings. Evil Spidey Dude says, do the pricing for the Necromunda Ash Wastes, I'm assuming you said, do you have the pricing? I do have the pricing, mate. It is £180 in the UK for the Necromunda Ash Waste boxed. In fact, I don't know if I've still got the prices on my phone here from when I was looking at them earlier. I do. So the Necromunda Ash Wastes box is £180. The Ash Waste Nomads War Party is £28. The Ash Waste Nomad Dustback Helamites, is it? Are £28 also. The Orlok Outrider Quads are £28. And yeah, I think that's it for the Ash Waste stuff. So pretty much everything £28 except the box, which is £180. VJ saying the audio's got a few crackles. It seems all right at my end. I mean, I did test it before I started. If anybody else has got it, let me know, but it shouldn't. I've not done anything different I normally do, so hopefully everything's fine. Kodos is saying he's going through his pile of shame tonight and sorting the Raging Heroes Toughest Girls of the Galaxy Kickstarter and how to use those in Firefight. I've got no idea what they are, mate. Paul says, hope everyone's challenge this month's going better than his. Yes, folks, don't forget, we have got the April challenge going for another week. So what date are we today? Is it the 25th today? Is next week the deadline? Let me have a look at my diary. Yes, next week is the deadline. So this Sunday coming, you've got till the end of this week, which is May the 1st. May the 1st is the deadline. I'm hoping to have quite a bit painted for this one, as I've been working on some stuff for videos, for Firefight. I've been painting some of my my artificers for the Forge Fathers. So I've done quite a bit of sci-fi stuff this month. I'm hoping to have a nice little pile of stuff to show you next week. Magus42 says, sorting out some Dead Zone Maze and Labs, painting and seeing what the chat's about. Welcome, Magus. I hope you are well. I'm sure we'll be chatting a little bit about Dead Zone and Firefight and other bits and pieces as well, so feel free to join in. Throw your questions in, anything you want to know. Colin says, are folks going to Games Expo this year? Technically, mate, I'm not going to Games Expo this year, and for two reasons. One is, last year I felt from a miniatures point of view, it wasn't that great. There was fantastic for board game stuff. I enjoyed spending time with some kind of friends to play board games, but from a miniatures games point of view, it wasn't really well attended last year. It might be better this year, because obviously the COVID stuff's a lot less in effect as it was last year. It was the first, not only was it the first UK Games Expo back last year, I think it was the first major event within kind of tabletop gaming. And I think a lot of companies were a little bit wary about kind of spending the money on going in case it was cancelled or any of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of one reason why I feel I want to give it a miss for a year, because it does get quite expensive. The other one is actually my wife, as a surprise, bought me a ticket to a concert. So me and my wife and my brother and sister-in-law and my other brother and sister-in-law are all going to a concert on the Saturday, which just happens to be the same weekend as UK Games Expo. So I had considered just getting a ticket for the Friday, maybe going down on the Friday morning, spending the day there, staying over Friday night and coming back Saturday morning. I had considered that, and I still might yet, once I know a few more, sort of which companies are going and things like that. But I won't be doing the full 4 days like I normally do. I normally have to, like, sometimes a Thursday, but I always do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, I won't be doing that this year, but who knows? Who knows? Ice Moon saying he's noticed it too, only momentarily. I don't know what it is, mate. It might have potentially just been a bit of a YouTube thing. Same microphone, everything else, everything's still set as it normally is. I tested it, like I say, I tested it before the stream, and it all seemed to be working fine. So I don't know if it was just a one-off. Phil Campbell, good evening to you, buddy. Vijay says, speaking of Lou, I hope she enjoyed her holiday. Unlike you, she doesn't get the hobby for a living, mate. It doesn't mean I don't work hard, buddy. Lou can kind of, mentally, she can switch off a lot better. So you can sit and read a book and enjoy the sunshine. I get a bit kind of itchy feet when I'm on holiday. I like to be up and doing stuff. And I don't really like to kind of like lie around, which means it tends not to be that relaxing for me, because it's not like I'm just kind of lazing around with a book kind of thing. I like to be up doing stuff, which can be quite tiring when you're kind of doing that all day, every day in the heat. But yeah, she had a nice chill. She really enjoyed it. Thanks, mate. Let's have a little look here. Few crackles. I can't hear it, so I can't really do anything about it, but I hope it's okay to listen to. Kirisu Fenris Wolf says, painting yet more Thunderwolves. Welcome to the chat, buddy. And yeah, Thunderwolves. Peter said he's forgot about the challenge. Andros says, you mentioned a concert you're going to. What kind of music do you enjoy, and what is the concert? So the concert I'm going to is not necessarily something I would choose myself. I think it's everybody else wanted to go, and so my wife decided to get me a ticket as well. We're going to see Ed Sheeran. He's playing at a big stadium concert in Sunderland, and we're going there. I personally probably wouldn't choose to go and see Ed Sheeran. I like his music and stuff like that, but I don't really think I'd need to go to a concert. But it's nice to have a day out with friends and stuff like that, friends and family. So, but my particular music, I like a bit of a range of different stuff. I mean, some of the kind of live concerts I've been to see over the years, my first ever concert was Guns N' Roses. I've been to see AC/DC. I've been to see U2. I've been to see Bon Jovi. I've seen Arctic Monkeys and The Killers, Oasis, Kanye West. So I've got kind of a mixture of there's a bit of 80s rock in there. There's a bit of hip hop in there and stuff. So I've got a bit of a wide indie musical taste, I would say. Vijay said he's got a bit of a hobby binge by, as the people in the Discord saw, he definitely did. And he's been building his Dead Zone 3 starter, and a bunch of other Mantic stuff. Nice one, fella. Christian said saying that help support the channel. $2 to gain access to the Patreon Discord group. So yes, you can support me through Patreon. So please do consider checking that out. Vijay says I must say getting into Mantic products has really made me very skeptical of GW prices. I think there's a lot to be said about it. I mean, GW stuff can be more expensive. I think it's a lot of the reason it is more expensive is it's made in the UK, so it's not made in the Far East, and I think there's an element of cost in that as well. I think it's just one of those things. You pay what you can afford, and you buy what you like. Really, I think that's the best way to do it, regardless of who makes it. Paul Nipperis, hello Paul, welcome, and thank you for joining the Facebook group tonight. He says he's getting into Dead Zone and Firefight. I've gone for Enforcers, but what's your faction of choice? So, Dead Zone wise, I've got a nice little Vehement Force that I've played a few times, and they're the ones that I'm kind of slowly in the background, kind of growing out into a full Firefight force at some point in the future. I've obviously got the Firefight 2-player starter set, so I've got a decent size of Enforcers and Marauders. I do quite like the Enforcers. Now I've painted them up, I do quite like the Enforcers. I was never a huge fan of the models when I've seen them kind of online, because they kind of remind me a little bit of Space Marines in that that big just kind of block of armor. But actually, once I got a nice little paint scheme that was pretty simple to do, it broke up those big chunks of armor. If you're interested, tomorrow night's video is another video in the box to board series that I'm doing for Firefight. So far I've shown you how to build all of the Enforcers from the starter box into a 820 point list. I've shown you how to build all of the Marauders in the starter box into an 825 point list, although you can tailor it to 820. And then tomorrow's video is the next in the series. I'm going to show you a really quick, super simple paint scheme for the Enforcers to get them on the table. And if you're not that kind of keen on the colours that I've chosen, if you keep watching till the end of the video, I show you I think it's another 3 paint schemes using exactly the same method that I've done, but just substituting some of the colours out. So if you're looking for something, how do I just want to get the Enforcers painted quickly, there's a video coming tomorrow night. And then Friday's video will be the how to paint the Marauders with a very, very similar type of thing as well. So yes, that's coming this week. So faction of choice was the question. I'm kind of getting my head turned by the Enforcers, I'll be honest, and I do like the new Marauder sculpt. But to be honest, I've got some Forge Fathers there as well that I've been painting up. I've got the Vehement stuff. I quite like the new Plague models. I can see me over a period of time having a few different bits of kind of different armies of Firefight. I'm really enjoying Firefight, I'll be honest. It's I've struggled with 40k over the years because it's a game I want to enjoy, but I always just kind of struggle to get into it. But I feel with Firefight, I've just kind of been able to read the rules and go, yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. The factions are different enough that I quite like them. There's rather than not really knowing which faction to go with because I'm not that keen on any of the models, it's been more a case of actually I don't know which ones to narrow it down to because I quite like a lot of the models. I like the big flyers and the kind of in the vehicles and stuff. So yeah, it's really kind of grabbed my attention at the moment. So I can see me over the next kind of numbers of weeks and months, for example, building out a few more factions, and then we'll be able to get lots of different battle reports and narrative stories. I've got ideas about doing kind of like sort of little narrative kind of Dead Zone sort of battle reports where like sort of we've got a couple of factions coming together, which then kind of that will then influence maybe a Firefight battle report about what happens from Dead Zone and that kind of thing. So yeah, I've got some good ideas of what I would like to do in the future. Hope that answers your question. William Jones, hello buddy, how you doing? He said, after about a 2-year hard break, I'm a couple of nudges away from gaming again. Kings of War and, is that early Civil War? I think, and Korea for relative moderns. Good mess, to a different mix of different things. Tabletop Transformers saying GW's becoming like the video games industry and no one wants to be like that. I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, you'll never really see me knocking GW. They're a massive company. They make beautiful minis. I'm just not that keen on their games. They don't jive with the kind of things that I like to play. And because I know I don't like. I've reached the point now in my kind of like in my gaming hobby, if you like, in my gaming career as well as my professional career now. I've reached the point where I know that I just, those games are not for me. So I tend not, I've basically kind of almost just distanced myself from the GW stuff. I don't really keep up to speed with what's coming out. I don't really keep an eye on what the releases are because I know I'm not really going to buy them. Like I'll hear about it online and stuff. And like if people ask me about, oh, have you seen the latest prices? Have you got the prices for the latest like Necromunda stuff like tonight? I can go and find it out if people are interested. But generally I'm not I'm not chomping at the bit. I'm not getting caught up in any of that FOMO stuff. And I feel like my hobby's better for it. I know if you like GW stuff, there's plenty of channels out there. You can go and watch their stuff. But I would say that going forward, I can't see me really covering any GW stuff. Not unless they suddenly bring out something that is kind of totally groundbreaking. But at the minute, it's just, I know it's not my kind of thing. RPD saying, can't remember last time I bought a GW model. I can. It was Cursed City. And I've not bought anything since then. VJ says the Mega Armies are such great value. Having just picked up the Night Stalker Mega Army, the minis are great and I love the sculpts. I think the thing is, mate, is that people still, when they think about Mantic minis, they still think about some of the older sculpts and some of the old kind of PVC stuff that wasn't particularly great in the early days. Excuse me, the old sculpts with the kind of little plug bottoms on them and like sort of things where the fits weren't particularly great. And I'm the first to say that they've had some sculpts out in the past that weren't great. They weren't fantastic. But fast forward to like today, like things like the new Marauders, they're all new sculpts, the plastics that come on the sprues, the main Marauder air brawlers and what they call commandos. They're lovely models. They fit together great. You get some really nice different poses on them. I'm a big fan of the vehicles that come in the game. The newer Enforcer model, because there were some older Enforcer models as well that weren't quite as nice as the new ones. The new resin stuff that's coming for sort of like the Dead Zone resin models. Some of the resin stuff that's been coming out for Armada. I just think now it's a completely different proposition to what it used to be. I'm wondering if them crackles are... Let me just move this. I'm wondering if the crackles are coming from my lapel mic, rubbing a bit there because it was catching on my neck a bit. I wonder if sorry, yes. So I think people kind of still think about some of the older stuff, and I wonder if that's what it's been. Marcus, hello to you, buddy. How are you doing? He says, long time no see. How are things? Things are very well, mate. He's saying crackling needs to be eaten. I don't like crackling there. A little bit of controversy there for me, mate. Let me find out where we're up to here. Blair Smith is looking forward to those videos coming. Yeah, it was done before I went away on holiday. It's all kind of scheduled and stuff. It'll be up tomorrow night. You'll see that one. And the plan is to kind of to do this box to board series. I'll be perfectly honest, it's not getting as many views as I would have hoped. It's been a little bit slower than I would have hoped. I thought it would have been maybe a bit more popular. But that aside, I intend to do the entire series start to finish, even if nobody watches the future videos. I want to do it as a bit of a test. I want to kind of show what I can do from start to finish. Because in the past, when I've tried to cover lots and lots of different games, I've jumped around from video to video where basically I've shown what's inside this box or something like that, or I've done a review of this game, or I've painted something else, and I've moved around between different stuff. And what it doesn't allow me to do is to focus and do a bit more of a deep dive on one particular game. So what I decided to do with Firefight was I am going to do this box to board series start to finish. So even if people are not interested, people are not interested. But I'm gonna do it start to finish, right the way from kind of building up those models, showing you what's included, how to get some quick paint schemes together to get them onto the tabletop to help people who maybe just want to paint them up fast or whatever, and then sort of that how to play type stuff. Really simple, sort of like a basics game, if you like, with a bit of a battle report on the end. And if it does well, then I've got ideas of doing kind of like a beyond the box type series of like, where do you take, you know, if you've bought the firefight box and you've got your enforcers, what do I buy next? What's a good upgrade? What about if I don't fancy those factions? What's a different army kind of thing? If I buy one of those like sort of starter armies for one of the other ones, how do I get started with those? So I've kind of got lots of ideas where I'd like to grow it to. And for me at the minute, I'm just doing it because I'm enjoying it. It doesn't, like I say, the views are not as many as I would hope, but it's not going to stop me kind of completing the series. I'm going to make sure I kind of cover the lot. So hopefully, if you haven't seen it, folks, please do check it out. Comment on it. Let me know that it's something that you find interesting. Even if you kind of, if it's not something that you're particularly finding useful now, it might be something that you find useful for a different game. So just kind of let me know so I get an idea of whether it's something folks want to see. VJ saying, how many people would be keen to see a Dead Zone 3 box to board series? VJ's obviously asked me about this one, and I said the only reason I kind of hadn't planned to do one at the minute is because I've already built my Dead Zone stuff. And what I said is, if the firefight one goes well, I'll potentially contact Mantic and say, look, this is what I've done for firefight. It's gone okay. People seem to find it useful. Would you consider kind of sending me a Dead Zone 3 box and another one, because I already have one, and I'll do another box to board series for kind of Dead Zone 3. And I wanted to do one for kind of the Kings of War 2 player starter set as well, but I haven't got one of those, so I kind of I didn't start that one or anything like that. So if these kind of things are popular and people find them useful, it's something I really enjoy doing, and I'll happily do more in the future. So yeah, feedback from you folks is the kind of thing that will convince me it's a good idea, it's a bad idea. At the minute, I'm just doing it because I'm enjoying it. So Andros, hello mate. He says he's a big Blood Bowl fan. In fact, I'm building the Necromantic Horror Kit and listening to the live stream. Hello mate. He says, are you familiar with Dreadball and Overdrive? And if so, which do you think I may enjoy more? Hello, welcome to the chat. I'll be perfectly honest, buddy, I'm not a massive fan of Blood Bowl. I've had some kind of rough games of it over time, and I find it a little bit slow, a little bit clunky, and a little bit, like, I know like a lot of games, people who are better tend to win, but I find it's one of those games where you can kind of go 1-0 up and then basically shut the other player out, and it's not a very fun experience. That said, I have played Blitzball and really enjoy Blitzball because I think that kind of the bit more fun elements to it just kind of work with the kind of game I like. I have played a lot of Dreadball and I have played a lot of Overdrive, and I actually much prefer those two games over Blood Bowl personally. I think if you like Blood Bowl, I think you'll enjoy Dreadball in the fact that I find it a much faster, smoother, less clunky sports game. Overdrive, I think, is a great game, but I think it feels more like it's less sports type thing. It's more about, because you're not throwing a ball around, it's about kind of controlling areas. If you've played Aristea, I would say it's a little bit more like Aristea in terms of kind of having to go to a particular area on the board and try and control it. I like the fact that there's not fixed teams, so you're drafting in different kind of giants into your team. You only play with 3 models per person as well. I like the fact there's lots of different play styles. I would definitely recommend it as a game to if you can get a demo of it, or you can kind of watch. I've made some videos on how to play it. Try watching those. I've done a live stream video where we talk in depth about Dreadball and about how Dreadball plays. If you are interested, I'd obviously recommend checking those things out. But if you enjoy Blood Bowl, I think you might enjoy Dreadball because it's nothing like Blood Bowl, but it feels familiar because of the fact that you've got a team of players that you're moving around, you're trying to score goals. It's very back and forth. So when you score a goal or you score points, basically the ball shoots back in and the game carries on. You don't go back and line up again. it's got a bit of a tug of war mechanic on the scoring. So if I score 3 points and you score 2 points, the score isn't like 3-2. The score comes down to like 1 to you. So if you score 3 and I score 2, I basically take 2 points off you. And it's trying to be the first person to get to 7 on their track. So there's some really, really good mechanics in there. I like the way that you're always rolling the same stat. Like, so if it's a 4 plus to kind of to hit, it's always a 4 plus, but depending upon what you're doing, you add dice or take away dice from like a dice pool. So there's no like modifiers on that kind of stuff. I just find it a really, really fun game. Downsides to it, I think some of the models are older sculpts, and I think some of them are not the greatest. There are some newer ones which I think are much better, and I think unfortunately that can potentially let it down a little bit when people see it for the first time. But the game itself I find really, really good. So hope that kind of answers your question, Andros. Tony Howell, hello mate. He said he's just picked up the Forge for the Artificers. He picked up the Commander boxes. I only do single minis to scratch and itch, but I like them. I love them. I can see mine from here. They're just over there. Some of them are a little bit fiddly to build, mate. So stick with it. Don't throw them out the window in anger. Certainly the one that's got the Dr. Octopus tentacles. Mine's got a little bit of pinning in them and stuff, and plenty of super glue and activator. But just stick with it, because once they're together, mate, they're beautiful minis. VJ said he's definitely picking up the Firefight box set when it comes out over here. Pretty much already have enough Enforcers and Forge Fathers and Veermen, and we'll probably upscale the Plague and Nameless. Yeah, there's some really, really nice stuff. I really like the Firefight stuff. Peter saying English Civil War. Sorry, mate, did I say early Civil War? I think I did, didn't I? Yeah, and Tabletop Transformers saying, yeah, don't get me wrong, if you like to play GW stuff, fair enough. Yeah, there's no wrong way to do stuff. There's only the stuff that you like and the stuff that you don't like. I just find that I tend not to talk about the stuff that I don't like. Life's too short to dwell on all the stuff that I don't like doing. I'd rather talk about the stuff that I'm excited about and the stuff that I do like playing. So that's kind of what I always cover. Frantic, hello to you. He says the Warhammer Fest announcement today looks like it has some Warcry news. I haven't seen any announcement. I don't think about it. Vijay says, yeah, he's cool with GW and love their sculpts, but their rule sets are let down and there's better value for money. Yeah, I agree, mate. William Jones says, yeah, English Civil War, it's all about back and breast hats and gauntlets. I don't really know much about historical stuff. I think that's why I said early Civil War. I don't like when it comes to things like American Civil War stuff, Napoleonics, even World War I and World War II stuff. I'm not really up on my history and stuff, and I've never really played those games. So that kind of stuff tends to go out of my radar a little bit. Vincent VT, good evening. How are you doing? Nice to see you in, sir. Marcus says, I've sold off my 40k stuff and some random other GW bits. Tired of their overhype and not even enjoying 40k. I never get around to paying it. What I would say, I'm not even sure that GW really overhypes 40k stuff or their other games. I think a lot of it comes from the community. I think people are so passionate about it and so excited about it. And obviously there are a lot of content creators who only talk about 40k, and so therefore will kind of go to town on new information, like more so than your average hobbyist, because that's what they need to do. They need to get everybody hyped up. They want them to click the video and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not even sure GW is the one that does that overhype. So I wouldn't really I would never really criticize them for their marketing. I think they do a good job of marketing. I just think the community is sometimes a little bit, for me, they sometimes get a bit overexcited about something that's not, I wouldn't necessarily justify that amount of kind of hype, if you like. RPD, take care, buddy. Whoops, where did that go? I've just got to scroll back. I saw the comment and then it disappeared. There it was, Tabletop Transformer. It says, remember with Mantic, you can use models in large games to smaller games. For example, you can take models from Firefight into Dead Zone, models from Dead Zone into Star Saga. You can, I guess you could say the same when it comes to other games as well, from other systems. For example, you can take the models from Kill Team into 40k or whatever, or you can take 40k into Epic. Is it Epic? No, not Epic, sorry, into Armageddon. It is Armageddon, isn't it? Yeah. So I guess you can do the same, you know, from Underworlds into Warcry into AOS. So it's not purely a Mantic, you know, they don't have the monopoly on that kind of stuff, but it is a benefit when it comes to kind of being able to make your miniatures work a bit harder, if you like, certainly that. Let's have a little look. Players in Exiles and the Armada ships are lovely. Took my first look at the starter set yesterday. Yeah, I've got a nice little force of the Marauder fleet. I've got a nice little force of the, what they called again? I want to say the Asterians. It's because I'm reading a different book. It's not that. It is the Basileans. That's the word I was trying to think of. I've got a Basilean fleet. I've got an Empire of Dust fleet. And I've also got another one as well. I've got a Dwarf fleet as well. I'm quite looking forward to the Northern Alliance stuff, which has been teased a bit recently. I think I might pick some of those ones up. Marcus says, currently only collecting 3 different games, Blood Bowl, War Master, and Blood Red Skies. Well, that's a bit of an eclectic mix of stuff. I'm assuming War Master, there must be a lot of 3D printing going on there, or buying up old eBay stuff. VG says, I didn't have much interest in the Marauders until I saw the new sculpt in Firefight. Very cool. They look great along since my old GW Orcs. To be honest, I wasn't massively excited by the Marauders. And I think it's because when you see them painted up like as a big force, it just looks like a very big block of kind of greeny black. But I think with some interesting colour schemes, stay tuned, it really does make them stand out a little bit. I think they need a bit more of a spot colour on them to really kind of get them to stand out a little bit, because there's some great sculpts in there, but I just think they look a little bit kind of bland when it's just a big block of green kind of thing. Kodo says the toughest girls in the galaxy was a Kickstarter from Raging Heroes, a French company with a focus on female heroes. 3 different Imperial Guard style all female armies. No, not heard of them, mate. Not heard of them. Paul says, don't like crackling. That's an unsubscribe. I find it's too hard, mate. I find it's too crunchy. I don't mind a little bit of pork scratchings. You know, when you get like a bag of them in the pub. I don't mind a bit of pork scratchings, but I'm not, you know, when you get like really hard crackling and it's almost cracking your teeth. I'm not a fan of that stuff, mate. James Bray, good evening, matey. How are you doing? Scott Latham, hello to you as well. She's holding off on Firefight. There's way too much Dead Zone to finish, but then tomorrow is another day. I guess if you got yourself a nice little kind of a nice little Dead Zone force, it's not that difficult to grow it up into a Firefight force. And what I would say is, if you do that, what you're essentially also doing is you're just giving yourself some options for Dead Zone as well. So you give yourself a lot more flexibility in list building for Dead Zone. So there's a lot, if you play one, it gives you a lot of options for the other, shall we say. Is that Depressed Dakito? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hello there, welcome. Says, I'm new to the hobby. Welcome to the hobby, buddy. Says, just bought an airbrush thanks to your videos. You are welcome. Said, I'm excited to try it out. Much appreciate the guides and reviews. Thank you very much. You are very welcome. I'm glad you found them helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to kind of drop me a message, write a comment in the videos or anything like that. And if I can help, I certainly will try. Tolmod, good evening, mate. He's saying, that sounds awesome, Andy. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. Are we talking about the videos back then? VG saying, beyond the box. I like it. Nice, lots of nice alliteration with these title series. I want them to kind of be catchy. I want people to be able to like tell other people about them, for people to see them as like they might not do fantastically well like right this second. But they're there for people to go back to in the future, to look back on. If somebody gets into the game in 6 months' time and it's like, well, I'm not really sure how to start. There's not the hype surrounding it. There's not everybody talking about the box set now anymore. I just want them to be a really good entry point for new people coming in. And like, if somebody's on the fence about Mantic stuff and they're saying, I'm not that sure really, like how do I get into the game? What's their models like? You can kind of point them to these videos and see that kind of like, there's a step by step. And the plan is, I'm trying to keep each of these videos around 10 minutes or less. I don't want these to become kind of like sort of like an hour long of, well, this is how you build these models and you put this one together. I'm trying to edit them into like a snappy little format. I'm trying to get all the information in there. I'm scripting them out so I can kind of make sure I'm not just basically talking crap through the video. There might be some crap in there, but I'm not talking crap for 20 minutes. I'm only talking crap for 10. So I'm trying to kind of keep them sort of down to about 10 minutes. The painting video that's going up tomorrow night, I think is about like 8 or 9 minutes or something like that, showing you how to paint the enforcers, and also includes kind of other paint schemes in there as well. So hopefully that'll kind of set the tone as well and kind of show folks what I'm trying to do. George, hello to you, matey. He says, evening all, last GW stuff he bought was Adeptus Titanicus, first in probably 5 years, nothing since. Can't see me getting anything else. Can't wait to get my copy of Firefight and playing it. You'll have to let me know what you think, mate, when you get it. VG says, I would like to see box to board for all the Mantic games. To be honest, mate, I find them easier to do for the Mantic stuff because I'm genuinely interested in the games, and I find them easy to play. Like for whatever reason, the rule sets just work really well in my brain, kind of thing. There are other games that I find very difficult to get my head around, and they're the kind of things that I really need a few demos to kind of allow the rules to sink in. And some games I can't really kind of play them from the rule book. They don't seem to sit into my brain. Mantic stuff seems to just work. However they kind of write their rules seems to work with the way my brain works, and so I find it really accessible. So I would happily go through and kind of do bits and pieces for all the different games. Luke Pryor says, humble apologies for my lateness. Hope you've had a marvellous break. I've had a lovely holiday, mate. Thank you very much. VG says, would really help people get into their games given the lack of build instructions and other online resources. I wouldn't disagree, mate. I think they're getting better. I think the Firefight box set's got some decent build instructions in there, but you're right, there's nothing in there for Dead Zone. Dead Zone could probably do with a bit more stuff like that. Kings of War is very similar. Like you get a Kings of War starter box, it doesn't really explain much about the benefits of multi-basing, about kind of putting less models onto the base so that you can reuse some extra model. You might be able to keep some aside and have a game of Vanguard. You might keep some aside to put them into another unit, like a smaller unit. So there's some tricks and tips that I would tell you as a hobbyist, like an independent person who's not trying to sell the miniatures, that maybe Mantic wouldn't necessarily put into their kind of rules, into their instructions, for example, like saying, well, if you build it this way, you're going to get an extra unit out of it or something. That's the kind of things that I would kind of tell people about. Blizzard saying he's enjoying the box to board series. I totally watch one on Dead Zone 2. Thank you very much. VG says Overdrive feels more like an arena combat game than a sports game. Yep. He says that's because you are a scholar and a gent to Blizzards. Andrew says, thanks very much. That did answer my question. I will watch your videos on Dreadball and look into getting a collection and force my friends to play it. Yes, it's something I would definitely check out, mate. And like I say, I think there are some of the sculpts, maybe I think people's first opinion, it can cloud their first opinion, but it is a really, really good game. And I think it's sorely underappreciated really as a game. Let me just scroll back up a little bit. Where are we at? Where are we? Oh, God, the chat's good tonight. It's jumping around all over because there's plenty of stuff coming in. VG saying, yeah, Artificer Juggernaut and the Artificer guys are great minis and the Doc guys are pain in the ass. Yes, it definitely is. Christian sharing the link there for the OG t-shirts and hoodies for BlackJack Legacy. If you do want to support a channel, you want to treat yourself to a little bit of BlackJack Legacy merch. I'm not wearing anything tonight, any of it tonight, because this is literally what I walked to fly home in, because I've not stopped since I walked through the front door. Yes, there is some. So yeah, please check them out. Mark Zielinski, good evening, sir. How are you doing? Paul saying, great answer, thank you. I also like the idea of a campaign with a backstory and prefer to play games with meaning behind them, and looking forward to the Mantic Global campaign coming next month. I'm not really a competitive gamer. I love going to tournaments and I love going to events, but I like going to meet new people and I like going to play more games. I'm never going to win a tournament as long as I've got a hole in my backside. Like, I'm not a competitive player. I don't build kind of like really finely tuned lists. I tend to build lists that have the cool models in that I like the look of. I build little stories in my head about how these lot came together and where they come from and stuff. So when it comes to the types of like kind of battle report things I want to do, I want to have more of a narrative story. If you're coming to me for kind of like how do I win tournaments, you've probably come to the wrong place. But if you just want to see some, I want to have like nice cinematic shots, I want to have nicely painted miniatures, I want to have a bit of a backstory, I want to kind of get invested in it and maybe play that narrative through maybe 2 or 3 different battle reports, that's the kind of stuff I intend to do. And that's the plans I've got. So when I was asking in the Facebook group about like sort of commission painters and things like that, I wasn't trying to kind of shortcut stuff by getting people to paint stuff. I wasn't trying to kind of subcontract my hobby out. It was more a case of getting a number of different armies ready to show these kind of narrative battle reports off that I've got in my head. Because if I have to paint them myself, it's going to take me a little while to kind of get there. That's where the background kind of come from. VJ says the constant rules churn, I think GW does a pretty big disservice. But as you said, it probably comes from the community constantly wanting the game rebalanced. I think there's an element of they got to sell stuff. They're a business. That's what they do. But I do think it's kind of, they can't do right for doing wrong. It doesn't matter what they do. There's a portion of people love it. There's a portion of people that hate it. And I think it's probably quite difficult to understand whether they've actually done a good job or not. But I'm not close enough to those games to kind of have an opinion on whether I think they do or not. Basilians, it was. Scott, thank you very much. Kirisu's waiting for his Norse Blood Bowl team. Mark Zielinski says his GW motto is fading quickly. I like the Mantic's system of no codexes and the annual updates. I'll be perfectly honest, there are some of the stuff that Mantic's done in the past I wasn't a huge fan of. I liked Dead Zone in 2nd edition as a game, but I didn't like the way the rulebook kind of laid the stats out and stuff. It was a little bit clunky and I didn't really like it. I love what they've done now for Dead Zone 3rd edition. I think the stats are really, really clear and it's much easier to put together a team now. I love that they've carried that over into Firefight. I think the way they do it in Kings of War 3rd edition is really, really clear. And so that there has been stuff in the past where I think they could have improved upon, and actually they have improved upon in like 3rd and 2nd editions and stuff. So I'm not without kind of critical whilst I will praise some things, there are other things I criticise. Like for example, we were chatting in our Patreon group the other day about Mantic and about some of the mispack stuff that tends to come out, and I do think there's a bit of an issue there. I think they could do some stuff to improve that packing system, if you like. So yeah, I'm not without criticism as well. And that was his GW mojo, by the way, not his motto. Dave Mackay, hello, buddy. He says he's Oak Fleet, straight to the nearest island. That's it, mate. Full steam ahead. Ian saying, that's why I used light green, desert yellow and brown for most of their colours. Yeah, I think what it is, mate, on the back of the box, it's very much black and green. And it's quite a dark green for the skin and like black for the kind of the armour and the kind of like the leather and stuff, little bits of brown. And it's not that it kind of... It's not that it hides the detail, it's just when you see a big army in relatively dark colours, there's nothing to kind of, it's called a spot colour because it draws your eye to it. It needs a spot colour. So that's exactly what I've done with my Marauders. Vijay said, Orcs, Empire Dust, these pirate conversions for Armada as well. Yeah, I mean, it's something else I'd like to do as well in the future, is kind of do that same kind of narrative story where you've got maybe like, you've got a game of Armada where we've got ships basically kind of like sailing towards the kind of the coastline and stuff. They're trying to defend the coastline with let's say it's the Orc ships coming in. And the next one could be like a bit of a Vanguard game where basically you've got the first boat gets ashore and trying to kind of steal some plans or get ahead and do a little bit of scouting, and then that can roll into a Kings of War game where the rest of the ships have arrived and the armies are on land kind of thing. I can see those kind of narrative stories that other people are not necessarily doing. But again, as I was talking about in the Facebook group, that kind of stuff needs a lot of stuff painted and ready to go. And it's going to take me a little bit of time to get to that, but those are the kind of things I want to do. That's the kind of things I'm excited about. Like I don't want to just kind of do like a review of a game and then never put it on the channel again. I want to be able to flesh things out and spend more time with them, and because there is loads of games that I really, really love playing, but what I've tended to do, I think it's kind of since I went full time, I've tried to kind of keep everybody happy, I think, and I've tried a little bit of this game and a little bit of that game and a bit of that game, and I've spread myself really, really thin. And whilst it was interesting initially, I think it got to a point where I was feeling that I needed to do something new every video, and I was spread myself so thin that I was kind of second guessing myself and saying, well, I can't do that because I talked about that last week, and I can't do that because I haven't done this bit yet. And I got to a point where I think I wasn't really doing anything really in the grand scheme of things. I was skipping around. So this is what I've been thinking about trying to kind of narrow down my focus, give more time to particular games to let them breathe, like, and not kind of abandon them, you know, like play a little bit of them on the channel and stuff, come back to them again maybe a month later and show these kind of narrative stuff and that kind of stuff really. That's what I'm looking to do. But it's going to take me a little while to get miniatures painted, to get armies painted, to get variety. It's going to cost me a little bit in money as well, because I can't just you know, I haven't magically got like 5 different armies or 6 different armies. So it's all those kind of things that I need to get going. But it gives you a little bit of a flavour about what I'm trying to do. VG saying hoping to do a Night Stalker fleet for Armada. It's just a bunch that is just a bunch of sea monsters. It'd be cool to see something like that, mate, wouldn't it? Camo, good morning to you. How are you doing? Tolmort saying, Andy was talking about box to game. Yes, that's what it was, mate. Thank you. Players Next says, like the Dark Elf fleet from Man of War. I don't remember Man of War, mate. I never played it. I didn't really get into gaming until, I would probably say seriously, I didn't really get into about 10 or 12 years ago. So I didn't get in with GW stuff, really. I was painting Space Marines and things, but then I started playing Malifaux and War Machine. And then I got into like Mantic stuff, into Walking Dead and into that kind of stuff. So I've never really been a big GW gamer. So a lot of the stuff that people have like real love for, things like Mordheim and Space Hulk and Man of War and all that kind of epic and all that kind of things, they all pass me by. I've never really played any of those. I've got Space Hulk, but I think I've played it like once or something like that. I never really got into all them other things that everybody has kind of deep love for, if you like. Scott says, Orcs, Dwarves, Battalions and Empire of Dust currently, but really fancy Northern Alliance fleet. God, I need a lottery win. We all do, mate, I think. Vijay says, believe me, I'll be pointing lots of people at Mantic Boxer boards. I need people to play against. To be honest, mate, my topic for tonight was going to be about kind of getting to play more games. How do I get people to play games with me kind of thing? And I think it's a really, really good topic. There's loads of stuff I want to talk about, but I just physically didn't have the time with like my flight and stuff today to dedicate to kind of sort of giving it the justice it deserves. So I think it's something we might bring in a like maybe not next week because we're doing the community painting challenge thing next week. Maybe the week after. I think that might be the topic, buddy. Tom Mott says, I used your video to paint my vermin. Ah, did you, mate? My hobby ones. Yes, nice. Lord Maiden says, stop. Crackling came back for a bit. I've no idea what it is then, mate. Some interference from somewhere. We'll have to sort it out. Tabletop Transformer says, how do you feel about videos that go over the armies, stat line by stat line? I'll be honest, mate. I'd say, I wonder, see, it's crackling a little bit. The only thing I've changed, let me just change something a second. Because what I did do was, I played with the noise gates a little bit. I wonder if it's, let me just take that back. See if that's any better. No idea. We'll try that. How do I feel about videos that go over armies, stat line by stat line? I think there are people that like that. And I'll move that over there. I wonder if it's there. I've got to, let me just make sure all of my microphone and everything's plugged in nice and tight. Nothing's been pulled out. There are people that really like that kind of stuff. And I think they really like it because they're competitive gamers. They like to see stuff without buying the rule book themselves. And I think that to some people that is useful information. For me personally, I find it, I personally don't want to watch it. And that's just because it's not my jam, it's not my kind of thing. I think going over things, stat line by stat line, is the kind of thing you should be doing yourself. You should buy the book, buy the stats, and read them yourself at your own leisure and kind of let it absorb that way. I kind of feel those videos do well for certain games because people want the information without having to buy the codex or buy the book. So it's got its place like anything, like unboxings. I'm not a massive fan of unboxings. They've got their place. There are people that like to see them, but it's probably something you'll never see me doing. Luke says, is the sound cracking on occasion? Yeah, there's been a little bit of it, mate. No idea what it's causing it, but I kind of stopped the stream to try and find out now. VG saying, Mantic rules are excellent in his opinion. Great combination of simplicity, flavour and memorability. Couldn't have phrased it better myself, mate. Moose, good morning, mate. He says, what we're talking about. He's just on his way to work. We're just having a bit of a ramble, mate. We're just having a bit of a chat. I've literally just got back from holiday, mate, about 5 o'clock. I haven't had time to really prepare anything for tonight, but I wanted to make sure that we did a live stream. I missed last week because I was away on holiday last week, and I didn't want to miss another week's. So rather than kind of can it and say, well, I haven't had time to prep anything, I just thought we'd have a chat and a bit of a ramble. So far, so good at the minute, mate. Camo says the game Conquest has been getting popular. Have you seen or played it? I have seen, mate. I have played it. I actually have it. I can see the box on the shelf over there. For me personally, not really my kind of game. There's things in it that I feel are they're different for being different. For example, the fact that you have to roll low rather than rolling high. It kind of confused me when I played it for the first time. It was just one of those things. The models are a bit of a funny scale. And whilst I think they're good quality, the aesthetic is not really to my taste. I find some of them look a little bit weird. So it's for me personally, it's not a game I'm particularly interested in. I know there's like a smaller scale version of it now that I've never played. I forget what that one's called now. But it's like kind of like a scale down. Like when I say a scale down, I mean number of models wise scale down, not physical scale size. I've not played that, so I couldn't really tell you whether that's good or bad. But yeah, I've played it, I've tried it. It's not really my bag, mate. Austin Thornhill, good afternoon. I should say I was going to say good evening. Good afternoon to you, mate. Everyone seems to be well. Thanks for asking. Where are we up to here? That one just popped off my screen there. Vijay saying, yeah, I keep getting some I kept some Ratkin and Gobbos aside from War in the Hold box for giving Vanguard a shot at a later date. Yeah, and I think that's the kind of thing that maybe people don't necessarily think about when you buy it for the first time. Vijay says, although I've heard the Vanguard rules could do with some streamlining, so fingers crossed for a 2.0. Vanguard rules are not too bad, actually. It's probably one of the more complex is probably not the right word, but it's like a bit more involved game that Mantic do. But what I would say is, I personally really enjoyed it. I played it for quite a long time, and then basically just was playing other things really for no other particular reason. It's definitely it's a little bit more complex than Kings of War, because I find Kings of War is much more simple at its core, and I think that's something that people don't expect. They expect this kind of the skirmish style game to be easier than the kind of army style game, and I think that's what throws people a little bit. But for a game where you need relatively low models, maybe 10, 15 models, I actually quite like it. It could maybe do with a 2.0 or a 1.5 kind of tune up a little bit, and maybe knock some rough edges off it. But I actually quite like the game itself. Luke says, I think Mantic make the more solid rule sets overall. I don't think I've played any of their games and not enjoyed at least how it worked. Yeah, I'd agree with that, mate, as well. And it's one of the reasons why when Mantic are bringing out something new, I'm generally interested to find out more, because I've never really played anything that I've not been a massive fan of. So for, like, of the games that I don't own from Mantic, I've never played Star Saga for whatever reason. So I don't own it. I've never played it. And I've just never got round to it. It's not nothing against the game. I don't really know anything about it in terms of that. So I can't really comment on that one. I've played League of Infamy, and I didn't back at a Kickstarter because I actually was fortunate enough to get like an early sort of demo of the game from James and Sophie, and I played it with a number of other players, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the game was a lot of fun, but I could tell from playing it the fun for the game came with playing with like a big group. You needed maybe 5 players like to kind of really get the best out of it. And I knew personally in my gaming, I would never get like 5 players around the table to play like through a campaign of that kind of stuff. So whilst I thought the game was fantastic, just for me personally, I knew I was never going to get enough players together to kind of get the best out of it. Like, it's not a game I'd really want to play 2-player. A lot of the benefit of the game comes from the fact that one player's playing it as the good guys, controlling the board like a bit like a DM, and then everybody else plays as bad guys, all trying to do the same thing, but stabbing each other in the back a little bit. And it's that dynamic of kind of 2 or 3 players stabbing each other in the back whilst also trying to work together against the DM or the good guy, if you like. That's what really gives the game its flavour. So unless you've got enough people playing it, I think that's where it shines, really. But I love Dreadball. I love Overdrive. Big fans of those. Love the new version of Dead Zone. Firefight, I think, is potentially shaping up to be one. Probably, it could be my favourite Mantic game at the minute. Kings of War, Vanguard, we've just been talking about. Armada, Hellboy, I love. I'm just a kind of like, I'm just a fan of the games that they make, really. Dave Mackay says, think Mantic show different basing types in their rulebook. Different basing types in their rulebook. I think, oh, you mean when it comes to kind of multi-basing stuff? I think that they kind of mention about multi-basing, but I don't think they really explain how to do it. They've not really made any recent videos on kind of how to do multi-basing, and they also don't really talk about the kind of, the community likes to talk about this preferred model count and minimum model count and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, like, I'm a huge fan of it, as long as it looks good. If you haven't got a base this big with one model sitting in the middle, as long as it looks good, whether it's putting trees on it and bits of diorama stuff, each little base unit, it's the size of the base that's important, and it's really about making those little kind of diorama bases. I love to see things all ranked up, but I also love to see people's creativity in making really nice multi-bases. So for me, I think there's a whole world to explore out there for people that I don't really think people necessarily know about outside of the folks that already play it. Tabletop Transformer says, Mantic should take stuff from Dreadball and put them into a wrestling game. I think Overdrive is probably what you're looking for, mate. It's very, very similar. Chin placement. Jeez, you're making me hungry. Chin placement. Vijay says, speaking of Tony's, the Aussie Clash of Kings is coming up, I think. Might see if I can pop up and watch for a day. It'd be nice to get some information back from the Aussies from that one, mate. Christian is sharing the link there as well for the BlackJack Legacy merch. Thank you very much, Christian. Maybe you want to treat yourself to a late Easter gift. Who knows? Please do check it out. Even if you just click the link and go and have a look at it and see the kind of stuff that's there. It's always appreciated. Paul says, that's it for me this evening. Have a great rest of the show. Thank you, Paul. Nice to see you in. Appreciate it as well. Vijay says, speaking of Mantic mispacks, I managed to find my first gen play guy's head. It must have fallen out of the clamshell when I opened it. So it wasn't a mispack then, mate. It was a drop from yourself. He says, when I get over to the UK, I might have to bring my pirates to play a campaign. I tell you what, mate, you are on if that's the case. And those ships are probably very, very transportable because you don't need many of them. VJ says, drop likes like hugs, people. Andy loves a cuddle. I'm a big fan of cuddles, mate. Yeah, please do like the video. It really makes it better in the terms of the fact is if you like the video, if you give it the thumbs up, and even if you comment on the video afterwards, it ticks all the boxes for YouTube's algorithm and it starts spreading it out to people that didn't watch it live at the time. That's how it gets spread out amongst the internets. Yag says, excited for a new Batman minigame starter set. It's based off the new movie. Do you know what, mate? I know he says the models look insane. I'm a bit sick of Night Models constantly releasing new starter sets for that game every time something changes. I must have not, even in the short term that I've been aware of kind of Night Models game, there must have been about 6 starter sets. But not starter sets where they look like they're compatible with each other. That's the problem. They make beautiful minis. I think the quality of the minis is maybe a little bit questionable, but the actual like as in the materials that they use and how robust they are. But the physical, like when you see the painted models and stuff, yeah, obviously they're not going to show you broken painted models, are they? And I've heard the game's good, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of night model stuff. John says, that sounds like a great idea for some linked Kings of War battles. Would make a great narrative gaming weekend. BlackJack boutique gaming weekend. Do you know what, mate? It would make a good gaming weekend. I've been thinking about that because I've been planning to put together a bit of a BlackJack weekend type thing. If I can kind of carve something out where almost the case of like, it could be there's a bit of a narrative campaign like through the channel with different reports and stuff, culminating in the weekend where basically people fight it out to see what the outcome of the story is. I feel like I could kind of do something like that. That would be pretty cool. George is saying, really like your idea for the future. Thank you very much, George. Appreciate it. Andros says, you can please some of the people all of the time. You can please all the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all of the time. Be pleased with yourself and what you do. I think I've lost my way a little bit, mate, if I'm perfectly honest. I was in a place where I was loving what I was doing. I was just doing what I liked. And I think when I started doing this full time, I think I felt the pressure of like, well, it's your job now. I obviously rely upon like Patreons and things like that to be able to to pay me a wage to keep the roof over my head. Like, not literally keep the roof over my head, but to pay me the money that makes it worthwhile being able to do this for a full-time gig. If I didn't make any money, I wouldn't be able to do this for my job. I'd basically have to kind of go and get a real job in the real world. So I do kind of sort of rely upon things like donations and things like Patreon and ad revenue that comes in through YouTube and stuff like that, and selling t-shirts and what they called affiliate links and all that kind of stuff. Of course, I rely upon that. And I think the pressure of that kind of got to me a bit, where I was trying to reach as wide an audience as possible. And I think in trying to do that, I did that for a bit. But then I think what happened was I reached a wide audience, and then people went, oh, but he doesn't talk about that game anymore. So like, it's all right. I'm doing like an Infinity video, but like he hasn't done another one for like 18 months or something like that. And I think at the time I never really kind of thought about it long term like that. And essentially I'm getting to a point now where I've realised I've kind of sort of missed the mark a little bit. I had a little bit of a health scare last year as well, which kind of threw me off, and basically I wasn't working as hard as I would have liked to have done at a particular time. But I feel like I've kind of, because I've taken stock of things now, I kind of just got back to, you know what, I really need to do what I enjoy doing and what energizes me and what motivates me. And if I focus on that, some people won't like it, and they'll leave Patreon, they'll go and do other things, and they'll support other channels, and that's absolutely fine. But maybe I'll attract the people that are more hardcore for that kind of narrower focus, if you like. So that's kind of my thought process. It might all go tits up. It might be the worst decision I ever made, but at least I'll enjoy doing it, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get back to. If I'm enjoying it and you see me enjoying it, maybe you'll enjoy it too. That's kind of my thought process, really. VJ saying, yeah, great direction for the channel. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, painting challenge, George. Get on it. Samia, hello, mate. How are you doing? Nice to see you in the chat, buddy. I just jumped off my screen there. I haven't said that for a while, have I? Hope you had a great day. I'm so far, mate, I'm having a great night. I've had a day sitting on an aeroplane today, trying to make sure that a 5-year-old was happy. but yeah, other than that, mate, I'm good. VJ says, would you be interested in covering Bushido when the new 2-player set comes out? The preview of the set looks beautiful, and I heard it's due around September. I'm not really sure, mate, because the Bushido 2nd edition's been out for quite some time now, and it's one of those games that they have like lovely minis, but it's such a niche audience that basically like you can make the best video in the world and nobody watches it really, and nobody local plays it, and it's hard to get games of and that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure. I've not really delved into it. I haven't looked at it. I'd have to have a look, mate. VG says, seen loads of Conquest going cheap around here. Seems like it was a good push, but it's not getting much traction. I'll be honest, I mean, Parabellum, who make Conquest, absolutely threw the kitchen sink at that when it was coming out. They like really marketed it hard for a good 2 years before I think they even had a miniature to sell. And they invested quite a lot in plastic tooling and stuff. I mean, I'd like to see it do well. It's not a game I particularly like, but it doesn't mean I want to see it fail or anything like that. I feel like it's a game that people are maybe starting to pick up now, but it's been a long, hard slog. And obviously a couple of years of pandemic hasn't helped them either. I think there's a few games that are coming out of that kind of pandemic slump now and starting to get their organised players sorted and starting to get out to game shows and starting to demo it again. Excuse me, hiccups. So I think Conquest is one of them ones. If it doesn't take off in the next 6 to 12 months, I think we'll start to see we'll start to see it fade out, I think. Tabletop Transformers says, I've done those stats by stats videos and I see what you're talking about. Others have said similar. I think it's one of them things, mate, where it's more about, like, if you like doing them, then that's fine. Do it, because it doesn't matter what you do, there'll always be an audience for it. And it depends upon what are you doing it for. If you're doing it because you enjoy doing it, then keep doing it. It doesn't really matter. It's just, it's not a video I would necessarily watch. Therefore, it wouldn't be a video that I make. And like, that's kind of how I tend to kind of judge my benchmark, really. Like, there's no point me, because it takes a long time to make a video, to edit a video, to kind of put your heart and soul into it and upload it and put it out there for people to see. If you don't enjoy that process and you're only doing it because you think you're going to get views from it, I kind of question why you're doing it. But if you love doing it, then it's the right thing to do. So I think that's kind of like the way to look at it. VG saying stat videos don't interest him, but faction videos where you talk about the minis, the lore, good army builds, paint schemes would be very cool. Tabletop Transformers says Vanguard needs more units and all units need better stats. The power dice is very clunky. I quite like the power dice because the power dice are used in Walking Dead, Call to Arms, and they're also used in Firefight now as well. And I like the system. I don't find them clunky, if I'm honest. Mark says the Vanguard rules are too crunchy for what it is. Yes, the skirmish game should be easier. I find Vanguard moves too slowly. Does it move too slow? Maybe it moves too slowly for a skirmish game. I think it's because we look at Dead Zone and we look at Vanguard, and Dead Zone is super slick and moves really quick, and Vanguard doesn't. It doesn't make it a bad game, it just makes it different. And I think if you're a person who likes the speed of Mantic stuff, because generally their games move quite quickly, it is a bit of an outlier. I would give you that, yeah. Tabletop Transformers says Star Saga is basically a hero quest in space. Plus you can play Orc Medic in Power Armor. Yeah, I'm kind of aware of what the game is. I've just never played it. I'm not a massive player of like dungeon crawler type stuff generally, and that's probably the reason why. Christian sharing the link there as well for my affiliate link at Goblin Gaming. So yeah, if you're buying anything and you wanna maybe check out Goblin Gaming, you will pay whatever's on their website. You don't pay any more, and I make a small commission because you shop through my link. So it's another way to help the channel without you spending any extra money. My chin. I don't think my chin movement's moving it, mate. My chin isn't touching the microphone. I don't think. I mean, it might be a little bit of. I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's try clipping it. I wonder if it's rubbing on my hoodie. I wonder if that's what it is. I'll tell you what. I'll try just holding it for a bit, and we'll see what that's like, and see if it makes it any best. There we go. Mark saying Mantic should really put multi-bases in their Kings of War starter set. I agree, mate. I 100% agree. I actually think that maybe Mantic, it's time for Mantic to maybe rethink their bases in total, because those little square bases are not really any good to flip over because they kind of chamfered one way, and they should really be trying to kind of encourage multi-basing, I think, because I always have to go out and buy kind of MDF bases for the unit sizes and stuff. So I do kind of agree with that. I also think when it comes to like Dead Zone and Firefight, those round bases as well, I feel that they could do with some nicer bases, basically. And I think it's maybe, in my personal opinion, it might be time to kind of. I'm sure they've got a small factory full of those little round bases and stuff. But I feel like it kind of nicer bases would upgrade the look of the actual physical models, I think. Yeah, you see, they toss them in because they got so many in stock. Tabletop Transformers is a skirmish game that needs to love is Mercs. They've been brought by a new company. You get 10 models per faction. I've heard of Mercs, mate, but I must admit I don't really know much about the actual game itself. Yeah, Codus is saying to Mark there as well. Vanguard's good for what it is, more like Infinity rather than Dead Zone. Yeah, I think that's kind of it's not that it's clunky. It's just a bit more in depth, I think, than other Mantic games. I think. Lord Maiden says, "Is a health scare just a themed ghost? A health scare, a themed ghost?" No, no, it's not, mate. VG says he's going to drop some money on merch. I had my eye on that Eat, Sleep, Roll, Repeat t-shirt. I haven't updated the merch in quite a while, actually. It's kind of catch-22. It got to the point where basically, I think it doesn't sell much like anymore now, because I think anybody that was interested in it's probably already bought one. And I keep meaning to get around to kind of to updating some designs and stuff. But I do it all myself. Like, nobody gives me designs. I kind of come up with the ideas myself. I make the designs. I upload them to the web store. And then obviously the company prints the t-shirts. So I have to come up with them myself. And it's just one of them things where, like, if I'm not feeling very particularly creative, and then I kind of forget about it a little bit. One thing, we were talking about this in the Patreon group, I'm not good at the admin stuff. Like, even when I used to have my old job, like, I was basically like a senior manager of a department running teams of people. And my admin stuff isn't great, which is why I had people kind of working for me who did all that kind of stuff. So they would kind of do reports for me to present in meetings and stuff. And, you know, I'd kind of pull bits and pieces together and things. The admin side of stuff has never been my strong point. And it's something, again, doing it full time, doing it on my own. There's nobody going, by the way, you haven't done that yet, or you need to do this, or you need to come up with some new t-shirt designs. And I kind of forget about that kind of stuff. So part of what I'm doing now, by narrowing down my focus, it means I can start to plan things out. I get a schedule of videos. Hopefully what you're seeing at the minute, like 2 videos last week. There'll be a live stream tonight, 2 videos this week. You'll start to see that output starting to increase now, because I've kind of put a little bit of effort in to kind of getting back on track. And then I need to start planning out the admin side of things as well, and all these t-shirt designs and sending out mugs and all that kind of stuff. So I will get back to it. I promise. I appreciate everybody kind of bearing with me. But yeah, I've kind of been through that patch, I think, where I've basically just spread myself really, really thin. And it, like, I've not done the content I wanted to do because I've basically kind of second guessed myself. And you'd be surprised how much time I've spent doing stuff that you've never seen, like half finished videos and half finished projects and all that kind of stuff. And it looks like there's not much content coming out, where actually there's so much abandoned content. That's the problem. Ed saying Conquest distribution has been picked up by Asmodee, I think, which should benefit them. I'm not sure if it was necessarily the distribution that's been the problem, mate. I mean, obviously, if it's in more shops, more people will see it. But they've certainly kind of pushed a bit of an ad campaign type stuff. Codus is saying, for a very stupid idea, because I know you won't do it, the next Box the Board series after Firefighter's done could be Battletech. I definitely won't do it, mate. I'm not a fan of Battletech. And again, it's one of those things I will only do I'll only do the stuff I'm personally interested in. But yeah, Battletech does not interest me. Vijay saying, yeah, for Bushido, totally understandable from a traction views perspective. I mean, I think it's not just about views and stuff like that. But if I'm passionate about it, if I'm really interested in it, then the views don't really matter to me that much, really, in the grand scheme of things. But what I don't want to do is kind of do something that I'm just testing the water with, put a load of time and effort into it for it not particularly to do very well, really. Thank you, Tabletop Transformer. Nice of you to call in, buddy. Take care. Vijay saying, yeah, it had mad distribution over there, but the scale and the game costs were more of a problem. Yeah, I think there's some strange sort of it was kicking around for quite some time. I think obviously bringing in the smaller scale version of it gave it a little bit of a kick in things and getting people to give it a try. But it's not. It's stuff I would liken it to kind of Song of Ice and Fire, in terms of I hear people talking about it, people keep telling me how good it is, but I never see anybody play it. Good evening, John Ashley Smith. How are you doing? He said, what's happening? We're just having a bit of a rambly chat, mate. Lord Maiden says, that could be it. It's your head movement in total. I'm noticing your chin going up and down. Yeah, it's miles away from the microphone, mate, so it's definitely not, I'm not touching it, even though it might look like it on camera. It was quite a distance from my chin. I definitely wasn't touching it, but I'm just kind of holding it here now. We'll see what that does. I think normally I don't think I've ever worn this hoodie before on a live stream, and it might be like rustling on the material itself actually. Joyce says, Andy, get some Shadows of Brimstone, then say you're not into dungeon crawling. I've played many dungeon crawlers over the years, mate. I think they're the kind of game where it depends on who you're playing with, really. I think it depends on who you're playing with. Vijay says, yeah, the old plug bases and especially the MDF circular bases make the Mantic stuff look a bit low budget. Yeah, I agree, mate. I think it could do with some nicer bases. It does do them a massive disservice. Christian sharing the link there as well for the Amazon affiliate links. Thank you very much, buddy. Again, if you click through that affiliate link, you don't pay any more. You pay what Amazon price is, but I make a small commission. And again, it helps, keeps the lights on. Thank you very much. John saying, I remember that game. Seemed to disappear about 4 or 5 years ago. I think I assume we're talking about Conquest there, are we? VJ says, love the Never Mind the Old Lines t-shirt. I get loads of comments on that one. It was a bit inspired that way. I think it just came from a bit of a rambly Monday Night Live chat or it might have been like a hobby hangout where I was going like, where we were talking about mold lines and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't really worry about mold lines. Like my painting's not that good, like that I'm going to worry about like missing in the old mold line here. And it was like, never mind the mold lines kind of thing. And I think we were just like laughing about it. And that was where that t-shirt come from. Kodos is saying they used to have plastic bases for the larger models, but those sold out long ago, and they replaced them with MDF. Yeah, it's kind of weird that one. I mean, I know it's about price as well, and it keeps the cost down. And to be honest, I've used the MDF bases on the firefight stuff, and once you paint them, you can't really tell, you know. I mean, like they're fine once they're done, but it's kind of, I think it's more of a perception thing, really. Hello, Andrew Fairbanks. How are you doing, buddy? Chorus is saying, yeah, I know a lot of people who replace the GW plastics with MDF bases because they say those are much better than hollow plastic because they're heavier and easier to put a magnet inside. Yeah, you're saying they put GW bases instead of them. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I don't really magnetize my stuff, like, to be fair. John says, no point me getting t-shirts with designs. Nobody ever sees them except me when putting them on. Ah, but you'll know, mate. Andrew says, put the unfinished stuff on Patreon. I'm not really sure, mate, that you'd really want to see them. They're kind of like, I mean, they're like almost unedited because they've not been like finished off. Like, for example, like I was building my, I was building a board for my Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's kind of 2/3 of the way through. I've got all of the footage that's being shot of me, like, basically putting it together. But then it's not finished because basically what happened was I left it in the garage. It got really cold and the boards kind of warped a bit, and now they've got like a bit of a slight curve to them. So it was kind of like, oh, for God's sake, like now there's a bit of a warp to them. I probably won't end up finishing that off now. So I've got like loads of like footage of like sort of days and days of filming while I was kind of like sort of making stuff. And then basically like kind of never got it finished. So I couldn't really put them up without really having to edit them and then put a voiceover over the top of them, which is what I planned to do. So there's stuff like that. There's the stuff that I've got for where I've 3D printed the other. That was why I ended up 3D printing a board for Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's all been printed out and stuff. And then basically I didn't have the spray cans when I went to sort of start kind of spraying it and stuff. So I got sidetracked doing that. So I've got like sort of like I've got a full 3D printed subway board for the Marvel that I haven't gotten around to painting yet. And again, it was one of those things where I was like thinking in the background, well, I need to do some other videos to put these videos up so that in the background I can be painting that board, because I can't like do nothing for like sort of like 3 or 4 weeks while I'm sort of painting this board up. And yeah, I end up just like kind of like second guessing stuff and things. And again, it was a lot of it was to do with head not being in the right place, trying to keep everybody happy, trying to cover lots of different games, getting sent things basically and feeling obliged to kind of like to put them on the channel and have a look at them and stuff, doing videos and then finding that they don't do particularly well for certain games. There's just like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of sort of gone on, really. Peter says, not going to lie, I miss the painting streams. To be honest, mate, it's something I'd consider bringing back. I kind of miss them too as well. And it's one of those things, I always started them off because, well, I'm painting stuff for the channel. So if I'm sitting painting, I might as well have a video out of it kind of thing. So it's something I might consider bringing back because I did enjoy doing them. They were kind of hurting the channel a little bit, which is why I stopped doing them, because they got a lot less views, and they basically, what they would do is they would tank the next video that I released. And I kind of did some experimentation to see if that was the case. And as soon as I stopped doing them, my views went back up again randomly. So that was one of the reasons why I stopped doing them. But I've always said that this channel isn't about like the number of views. It's not about, I'm never going to be one of these channels that gets like 40,000 views a video, like 40, 50,000 views a video. I don't really cover those mainstream kind of popular games really to do that. It's really about like a community thing, and it was always about community. And I guess the more I kind of think about that, if I narrow down my focus, if I keep doing the videos again and kind of get back into a rhythm, I consider, I think, bringing back in the hobby hangouts as part of like a kind of like a mix of other bits and pieces. Maybe not every week, maybe every 2 weeks or something like that. But yeah, I would consider bringing them back, I think. Agfritz says, why no love for Battletech? To be honest, mate, I've never played it. I'm just not really into kind of those kind of mech type stuff. It's not really my bag, mate, really. The things I've been kind of told about it is it's kind of sort of quite complicated in a bookkeeping kind of way. I'm not really a fan of the miniatures. I find them a little bit simplistic. And I certainly wouldn't want to be kind of like painting them really, like, so yeah, that's really why. Nothing to do with, I've never played the game. I'm not like dissing it. It's just something I'm not really interested in. Camo says, for those interested in lore, have a listen to some of the Conquest lore videos. Yeah, I think the lore's meant to be pretty decent. They spent a lot of time kind of building a background for it. But yeah, the minis don't really inspire me. When I've looked at the miniatures range, there's nothing where I go, oh, I'd definitely like an army of those, or I'd collect those kind of thing. John says he was always referring to Mercs. That small-scale skirmish game you mentioned was getting a reboot. Ah, right, mate, okay. Mark says, never mind the Mold Lines t-shirt. Okay, I need one of those. Yeah. It's kind of, it's based upon the kind of like the never mind the bollocks, the Sex Pistols kind of title type thing. So it's a t-shirt with like the Union Jack on and the kind of the cut out cardboard like newspaper clipping type thing. In fact, let me just see if I can bring up the t-shirts, and I'll show you the Teespring BlackJack Legacy, and I'll see if I can show you the t-shirts. Here we go. Get the store up. There we go. So if I go to here, there we go. So this is the store. These are the t-shirts that I kind of sell. I might as well have a little bit of a sales push here. And this is the never mind the Mold Lines t-shirt. So that's the design on the t-shirt. Never mind the Mold Lines. Here's BlackJack Legacy. As opposed to never mind the bollocks, here's the Sex Pistols. And you can do them in white, you can have them in black, and you can have them in like a dark grey colour as well. So those were the designs. I personally quite like the white one, if I'm honest. So yeah, they do those ones. And then there's a number of other, let's go back to the store. There's a number of different designs. There's hoodies in there as well with like painted minis hit harder and faster. That was for the painting challenge one we did. There's the one with the logo on. There's a eat, sleep, rule, repeat. There's this one here, which is kind of just a bit of a different design kind of thing. Something. The idea was that some of them are kind of hobby inspired, like things like rank 'em, flank 'em, and spank 'em kind of thing. I think we did that one for the Kings of War slow grow campaign. We did the painting challenge ones and stuff like that, like challenge accepted was for the BlackJack painting challenge. There's some here like with the dice on as well, which have like one of the pips replaced with the BlackJack logo kind of thing. So some of them are kind of hobby inspired, but the idea is you could wear them out and people wouldn't go, oh, like what's this nerd wearing kind of thing. So there's those kind of things as well. So yeah, that was the point in them. But yeah, there's the little bit of backstory on that T-shirt. VG says, sorry to hear the MCP board didn't work out. Yeah, it's just one of them things, mate. Like, it's sometimes, like, I'll quite happily, what I can do for the Patreons, I will quite happily put together some, like, you know, maybe some little kind of just short videos where I just go, oh, this is the field kind of thing. This is where I got to. This is what happened. Literally just grab my phone, do like a little kind of 5-minute video. I'm happy to show those kind of things to the Patreons and things, because like things fail. I don't like, things don't always go right, but you don't always get to see the things that go wrong. So there's a number of different bits and pieces that I've kind of started projects. I've got things where I've been painting stuff, doing painting videos, and I've not liked how it's finished. Like, I've not liked the outcome. It hasn't been like sort of the quality that I want to put out. That kind of stuff. There's stuff that I've got to review, and I've spent days like putting things together, sticking things together, reading through rule books, trying to have a look at stuff, and I've thought, you know what it is? I don't even like this. This is definitely not my kind of thing. But then I don't really want to just put a negative review out, because I don't necessarily think like I should be negative about something just because I don't like it. I have to kind of have a balanced opinion on it, really. Like, there will be some things that are good and some things that work, really. But then I end up putting a lot of effort into something that I'm already not interested in, and that's hard as well. So yeah, I can lose weeks at a time doing research and putting time into things that then never end up kind of coming to fruition. And that's, like, for example, I put a lot of time into doing a how to play Malifaux video, and I spent like ages scripting it all out, and I filmed the first kind of part of it and stuff, and when I watched it back, it was like, this is just too long. It's too long-winded. It's too wordy, because it's quite a complicated game to explain how to play. And I ended up using some of that to do like a Monday Night Live. Like, if you've seen the how to play Malifaux 3rd edition live stream that I did, I used some of the information that I'd done for the scripting and stuff like that from that to kind of condense it into a live stream. But I wanted to make a really good kind of, this is how you play the game kind of thing. But yeah, so that's kind of, and I think what it is, if you're not in the right headspace, if you're not in the right creative space, it's you can kind of get into a bit of a rut and stuff. But I'm in a good place at the minute. I'm enjoying what I'm doing with the firefight stuff. I've got loads of really good ideas that I'm excited about and I want to do. So I feel like I'm kind of back on the hamster wheel again now, if that makes sense. John says, for large models or rather a certain size, he's been using CDs as bases. My God, I don't think I've got any models that are CD size bases. Where are we up to here? Yeah, hobby hangouts were good. Maybe every second week on Discord. Yeah, potentially, mate. Yeah, we might do them as a kind of a Discord kind of thing. Maybe like for the Patreon stuff. I've never really been one for putting stuff behind a paywall kind of thing, but then by the same stretch, it might be something to encourage people to kind of help out on Patreon and stuff. Patreon's something I'm potentially looking at the kind of the pledge levels and the stuff like that as well, to try and make it easier, make it a simple sort of decision whether you should or shouldn't kind of join the Patreon, as opposed to having lots of different tiers. I'm considering just having one tier level at the moment, but yeah, it's early days of kind of thinking about that kind of stuff. James is saying, I miss the painting streams too. I get they hurt the channel. Why not do a second channel thing? I don't want a second channel, mate. It makes it really just messy for stuff like that. And what it does is it basically just, like, it ends up getting to a point where people don't know where to find you. It's one of the reasons I didn't do what's it called again? The other one, Twitch. It's one of the reasons why I didn't do Twitch for the painting, because people end up like, it's like, oh, like you get a small group of people who go, oh, it's Twitch every Wednesday, it's YouTube on a Monday, and they know, they kind of follow you. But generally people just like to kind of, they want the convenience of everything being in one place. And it might be that the convenience of everything being in one place is worth the hit on overall views kind of thing. Yeah, VG is saying something similar there as well. Scott saying, yeah, love the painting streams, great community feel. I really enjoyed them, mate, like I say, but it was just, I think in amongst everything else I was doing, I felt like I was kind of, they were working against me a little bit, and that's all it was, really. John says, you need to see the 80s cheese robot jocks and then look at Battletech again. Peter says, I wouldn't mind having them in another channel or another platform. Yeah, similar kind of things. Tony Booth Leiden, good evening, matey. How are you doing? He says he's talking about holding the painting streams on Discord. Yeah, that's a potential, mate. PJ says, the Conquest law is as long-winded as the title. The title is a bit long-winded, mate. I'll give you that one. The last argument of kings. It was a bit long-winded. Scott says, you need an Exploding 8 t-shirt. There's an idea. Except Firefight doesn't have Exploding 8s, so we'd have to have a Dead Zone related, I think, wouldn't we? VG's, I got mine in black because, well, I work in AV. We're only allowed to own black t-shirts. I think I like it in white because gaming t-shirts tend not to be white. That's the only reason I liked it in white. Coda says +1 for an Exploding 8 t-shirt. I think we might be able to do something with that one. Frantic says you could always have hobby hangouts as unlisted videos, as they should show on a playlist if searched, but not on your normal video upload page. Not sure if it helps. I'm honestly not sure, mate, when it comes to that. I think if you do them as unlisted, only people who have the link can watch them. But I think they still go into your analytics and stuff. It just gets kind of messy. It might be just easier just to bring them back, to be honest. VG says, we'll need to pre-order a BlackJack Legacy polo shirt to pick up when I'm in the UK. No postage to Australia. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a local guy in the UK who makes those t-shirts. Whoops. They were really, really expensive on the Teespring store. But let me have a look again, mate. If they're cheap enough on the Teespring store, like, it might still be cheaper than kind of shipping them to Australia. So let me have a little look, buddy, and see if I can sort something for you. Haunted Bagel says, any thoughts on Rivenstone? Sorry, ignores if it's being discussed. Hello, Haunted Bagel hobbies. I don't really have any thoughts on it, mate. I've kind of seen little bits and pieces. I know it's obviously a new company in the US. It's, is it Will Hungerford? I think who's involved with it as well. Who's one of the old Privateer Press guys who was involved with War Machine and Hordes. It's been shown off like at Adepticon and that kind of stuff. There's not really been much talk about it in the UK yet. And I think it's going to Kickstarter, which, to be honest, always makes me nervous when it comes to miniatures games. Because I feel like the miniatures games need about 3 or 4 factions to start off. But I feel when they go to Kickstarter, they grow too fast too soon and aren't necessarily that well balanced. I think we've seen that in other games as well. So it's one of those things where I'd watch it from afar and see what happens with it, but I certainly wouldn't be investing my own money in it. VG says probably best to change it to Patreon tiers to remove stuff where people get merch. To be honest, mate, it's you've got no idea what a pain in the backside it'd become. It's when I first started off doing it, everything was dead easy to automate. I could basically I could put an order in, ship it out to multiple names and addresses, and it all just worked great. And then they changed the system, and I have to go through and manually kind of order one item to one address and go through the whole thing and pay for it and go through it step by step and all that kind of stuff, and then go back and do it all again for the next person. And you used to be able to import names and addresses from Patreon into the store thing. You can't do that anymore now. Patreon there's some people in certain Patreon tiers who pay the right amount of money but aren't linked to the right pledge level. So when you filter to see who needs what by when, they don't show up. There's another screen you've got to click into now to show how long somebody's been a member. That used to be on the front page. So it's made it so long-winded that it was one of those admin tasks that I kept putting off because it had become an absolute nightmare to do. So yeah, it's one of the things I think we might change, mate. James says, I think the painting streams thing is a tricky community versus data balance. Great for community, which drives Patreon conversions, but bad for algorithms that gets eyeballs in the first place. That's kind of what I found, mate, really, was that whilst it was a good community thing and I really enjoyed it, I think what happened was we got to a period where it was during the lockdown, we had some decent numbers and stuff, but then it got to a point where we maybe only got 30 people in the stream on a Wednesday night. and like those 30 people weren't even necessarily Patreons. If there was 30 people in, and those 30 people were Patreons, and they were really kind of like they really appreciated it. It was one of the reasons that they pledged for it and stuff like that. I can see the value in keeping doing it, but it kind of wasn't. It was just a small number of people, and it wasn't driving an increase in Patreons, and it was damaging the overall viewership of everything else, kind of thing. So yeah, funny one. Yeah, 100 Bagel Hobby saying Broken Anvil miniatures. That's them. Kickstarter launches tomorrow. Yeah, minis look cool, but there's so many nice minis out there now. I think something needs to be more than just nice minis these days. Major Tom there saying, yeah, late +1 on loving the idea of having Hobby Hangout back. Yeah, I do miss them myself as well, if I'm completely honest, mate. Fiji says, trigger pulled on an Eat, Sleep, Roll, Repeat t-shirt. Oh, yeah, bloody hell, mate, postage. Sorry about that. Phil Campbell, thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. Phil Campbell says, Andy, did you pledge on the CMON Marvel Zombies game? I didn't, mate. It just got too expensive. I was really interested in it. I'm a big Marvel fan. I love the Marvel Zombies comics. I just found that I found that it was by the time you added all the bits and pieces together, and it got to a point where you kind of felt like you needed everything to make it worthwhile. By the time you included shipping in, which was quite expensive, by the time you included an extra 20% for VAT, which wasn't included in the original price, it became far too expensive. I think it was going to be about £600 or £700 for everything if I wanted to buy into it, and even buying in at like the lowest pledge level was still going to be kicking on for £100. And I just felt that for me it was just, for something that I wasn't going to see for like 18 months, 2 years, it probably wasn't the best use of my money. I don't have a massive amount of spare money because of what I do for a living now, and that money has to work really hard. So even when I'm spending that money on hobby stuff for myself, I've still got one eye on kind of, can I use it on the channel and stuff like that as well, and can I get double use out of it? So yeah, I just for something that I wouldn't see for 2 years, it wasn't really worth it for me. Vijay saying less people with mugs makes the ones out there more exclusive. Yeah, potentially, mate. George says, thanks, Andy. Going to turn in now. Thank you, George. Take care, buddy. Vijay says, was thinking of doing Hobby Hang on Discord would help drive Patreon numbers. Potentially, mate. Yeah, that might be the best way to do it. And then, because to be honest, if it's only Patreons watching it, and they see it as a benefit of the Patreon, I can absolutely see the benefit in doing it that way. It doesn't have to be the highest quality kind of thing, like through whether it's on Discord chat or whether it's on Zoom or whatever the hell it's on. It doesn't need to be fantastic. I might be able to do something private through YouTube, so it doesn't go through the algorithm stuff even. But then at least if people are seeing it as a benefit, it's a reason to kind of support the channel, I suppose. And it also is part of that community thing as well, because like our Patreon group is a really cool community. Like, I love the way everybody kind of always comes in every morning and says good morning to everybody, how are you doing? People looking out for each other. Like, it's not just hobby stuff we talk about in there, like the little side jokes in the Pixie Lot Appreciation one with the little memes and things, and people asking questions of each other and encouraging each other and giving each other a bit of a pat on the back when they're having a bad day and chatting about work and family. And like, it's nice to have that community group, and it's something that you don't really want to do that kind of stuff on Facebook and stuff. So I really do appreciate our Patreon Discord group. And I kind of want to keep that kind of feel when it comes to those hobby streams as well. Dave says, my mug died in a horrible drop incident. Exploding 8 had nothing on the way it exploded. Ouch. Vijay says, given some of the amazing STLs out there now, I agree. Good minis are a given. Something needs a bit more than that. Bushido's gorgeous minis, but I also love Japan and Japanese mythology. Yeah, I agree, mate. I think it's almost like nice looking minis are an absolute minimum now. Like, if you come out with a game that's got substandard minis, you might as well kind of forget it, because everybody's blowing you out the water. And like 3D printing and stuff can produce good stuff now, as long as the files are good. You definitely need a good rule set, because good minis are not enough now. You need a good rule set, and you need a good community. Like, it's one of the things I like about the Mantic stuff is generally the Mantic community are really supportive of each other, and there's like you might not always be able to get like a game locally, but if you're willing to travel to like events and stuff, there's plenty of events knocking about where you'll get games in. Certainly in the UK, I can't speak for every region. I can only speak for what I know about. But from a UK perspective, John Estel, good evening, buddy boy. How are you doing? He says he's just got his first game of Firefight. Really enjoyed it. Game flowed nicely. Seemed to make sense. I'm more looking forward to my second game with less rule checking. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, mate. It's like any game, when you play your first game, you're going to be checking stuff. But the fact that you think you're going to be checking it less in the second game is a good sign. Mark Horneff, good evening, Mark. How are you doing? He said, got the new He-Man game from Archon winging its way to me. Beyond excited. I've got the new He-Man game, mate. They sent me one out to have a look at, and I'll be honest, I haven't even had a chance to open the box and have a look at it. Dave says, watch out, here comes the 8 train. Oh, I quite like that, mate. I quite like that one. I mean, I might need to screenshot that one. Somebody send me that in the Patreon so I don't forget that one. I like that one. Ed, good night, mate. Thank you for coming in. James says, if I'm being honest, a hobby hangout is a better benefit me than a mug. See, that's the thing. I think when I started all this Patreon stuff, I never really kind of know the value of like I don't see me as valued, you know what I mean? Like I'm not kind of so big-headed as if to think like, oh, people will pay money to hang out with me kind of thing. Like that's definitely not what I think kind of thing. So I find it hard to kind of to put a value on the Patreon stuff. People do it because they're really generous and they want to support the whole kind of thing of what I'm trying to do, really, which is really nice, and I appreciate that. But I feel like they deserve something for it, and that's why it's really hard to come up with like a Patreon tier. It needs to be something that's really easy for me to kind of to give them. Do you know what I mean? But that is something that means something to them. That's what I mean. Vijay says new He-Man game models look great, but watching the gameplay videos was left pretty cold. They're a bit of a funny scale as well, mate. In reality, that they're not that big, the models. Yeah, Phil was saying the same thing. Had a look at it, but it was stupid money for the Simon game. And Vijay saying, yeah, Discord crew is an amazing bunch. Love to you all. Yes, mate. Couldn't have said it better myself. James says, can confirm the Discord is a brilliant group. Lots of helpful hobby fans, but also a great group of people that are supportive and friendly. Yeah, they're a good gang. Johnson, the Discord's a great place to be and hang out. Doesn't mess with the algorithms, will be great. Yeah, I think that might be the way to do something like that, mate. And Vijay saying maybe do a mug a month to a Patreon who paints a nice model during the hobby hangout. Yeah, those kind of, see, I like them ideas. I couldn't come up with them myself. It's one of those things. Maybe we need to have a little chat about it and stuff in the Patreon, because like I find it hard to come up with like what you think is value. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not paying for it. I'm trying to provide it. So maybe it's something we need to have a chat about in the Patreon. Jess says, I'm a Patreon, but I never remember stuff like the Discord and that. Just glad to help and support, although I'll have to pop in after the forthcoming job. Yes, mate. Yes, you will. And thank you for your support. Peter Cooman says, isn't the A-Train something from Wait to Fire YouTube channel? I think it's just something that comes up because of Dead Zone, mate. So basically, in Dead Zone, if you roll 8, it explodes, and you roll an 8, you can roll another dice. If you roll another 8, that explodes, you can roll another one. And I think what generally happens is when it happens more than once or twice, it's become a bit of a thing that people who play Dead Zone that just go, oh, here comes the 8 train kind of thing. So I think it's a Dead Zone thing rather than a Way to Fire thing. It's just that Way to Fire did a lot of Dead Zone videos, I think. Jess says you need to never mind the bacon chat. We haven't had bacon chat for a while, mate, but yeah, that's not a bad idea either. Somebody, I think it was it Andy Smith, I think, was asking for something about the bacon club t-shirt or something like that a while ago. John says, I feel like I won the lottery getting the last 5 BattleTech salvage boxes at my local friendly game store yesterday. They put out 9 cases on Friday. I'll be honest, I have never seen a game of BattleTech in my life. I've never seen anybody play it. I've never seen it for sale anywhere. I wonder if it's just a bit of a US thing versus the UK. Or maybe I've just never seen it. Luke Pryor says, I always mean to use Discord more. Nice to have open while I'm working. Just forget about it. Yeah, to be honest, mate, I find these days I've used it more while I was on holiday because I was just like lying on a sun lounger, so I was kind of having a chat with people in the Discord while I was on holiday. But generally when I'm working during the week, like I am actually working, so I don't have the time to do it. When I used to have my old job, when I was meant to be working, but I wasn't really working, I had more time to use the Discord. Jim says, access to any giveaway you did and the paint stream are tangible benefits to Patreon without being an admin nightmare. That's what I need to do. Like it's just me that does this. Nobody helps me with the admin side. I've also had to learn how to kind of do my own taxes. I've never had to do before, so I've had to kind of work all that kind of stuff and do the admin of that. I obviously have like emails, like companies are emailing me trying to like offer me bits and pieces. I'm trying to contact other companies to try and like sort of organize for like review copies of bits and pieces. So there's quite a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that people don't necessarily see, and sometimes that doesn't come to any fruition. Like for example, the He-Man stuff is a prime example of I had Zoom calls with them, we chatted about it, we've had emails backwards and forwards that like took up time, and then basically it came so late in the day that I didn't have time. When they told me when it was released and when they wanted the video was doing, I said I haven't got time to do a proper thorough job to be able to clip everything out, put it together, play the game enough times to give an honest and full review of it. So basically I didn't end up doing anything with it, but you'd be surprised how much time it chewed up doing Zoom calls and all that kind of stuff. Like as an example, I've got a call tomorrow afternoon with a company who are wanting to do like an invitational tournament, and have asked me if I'm interested in attending. So tomorrow I've got a call tomorrow afternoon to go through that one, and it might be one of those things that just comes to nothing, but it ties up your afternoon kind of thing. It's all those things. Super Pumpkin Man says, while I have to admit it's been a learning 3D model in order to help invent my own tabletop game, it's also a useful skill. If it's fun as well, mate, that's half the bottle. Lord Bain says, exploding eights can make or break a game. They can, mate, but it's great to keep rolling the dice. And Super Pumpkin Man says, also why I forgot the painting challenge this month. That's why it's just a challenge, mate. It's just meant to be a bit of fun. Like it's to give people a bit of a nudge to kind of get the brushes out. 5D8, 7 successes. That's a way to do it. Players in Exile says, my local gaming store here in Medway has a group of people that play BattleTech. It's something I used to play 20 or 30 years ago. Not interested in going back to it. Yeah, like I say, mate, I don't even think I've ever seen it on a shelf in a store. Phil says, Patreon only holiday snaps. I'll be totally honest, mate, I'm terrible at taking holiday pictures. I think I've got about 5 photos on my phone that I took on holiday. One of them is a pint of Guinness. One of them is me and my oldest lads. So what we did was, on Saturday night, me and my oldest boys went to the pub to watch the Tyson Fury fight, and I sent my wife a picture just to say, we're here, we've arrived, we're okay, and there you go. I'll show you the picture. That's focus. Why is it not focusing? There we go. That's me and my oldest 2 boys, my twin boys, in the Irish bar watching the Tyson Fury fight. So there you are. There's a holiday photo. And what else have I got? I think I deleted some off today. And there was a picture that I used at the weekend as well for the Saturday. I always do a Saturday post in the Facebook group, and that was a picture of the beach. If that focuses as well. Focus camera. Focus. There we go. There you go. That was a picture of the beach. That's pretty much the extent of my holiday pictures. My wife, obviously, like all women, she's way more organised than I ever was, so she'll take lots of nice pictures. So we do have holiday snaps, just not ones I took. Let's have a little look here. Mark's saying tabletop version of BattleTech Alpha Strike will get a starter later in the year. Fast playing and less crunchy. To be honest, I'm not a massive fan of the minis, mate, if I'm honest. James, I think most people will be happy with making good the existing mugs and then changing the tiers. That's kind of my plan, mate. Like I said in the Patreon, anybody that's owed anything will get everything that they're owed, kind of thing. I'm not trying to kind of like sort of welch on anything. So I'll sort all that out before I make any changes. VJ says similar story about painting up some mechs. Rules on his jam. Jess says his mates back in Wales were big fans of BattleTech in the late 80s, early 90s. Won European competitions. I'm not even sure I'm even aware of it as a game though. Like it's like I think it must have been something from before my days of gaming. Ian's saying there, I bought a starter game and it came with 2 mechs and 6 cardboard cutouts. As you say, Alpha Strike's a good start but lacks a bit of flavour. Dave says, I like my tier, even without merch. Plus it means it's a bit less to spend on more plastic. I kind of, it's all like, I want to get it to a point where it's like, where it feels, and I don't mean this to be derogatory, but like where it's an amount of money that nobody's really going to miss, where it's like, it's a Starbucks cup of coffee kind of thing. Like it's the same as me buying them a cup of coffee every month to just kind of say thank you. I don't want it to feel like it's a direct debit, like I'm paying Netflix every month kind of thing. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to just be like almost like a little tip. That's kind of how I want it to feel, and I'll give a little something back for that tip. That's kind of where I want to get it to, really. But obviously, I need to encourage more people to come into it at that point, really, I think. James saying skipped a couple, but up for whatever the next challenge is. Yeah, we'll sort something, mate. Super Pumpkin Man says, I often forget to chat on Discord because of my crazy friends I've known and you silly nerds. Ian says, I submitted my pictures before Andy went away. I'm stuck on the Moonstone models. I've got a few people's pictures, actually. There's quite a few people have submitted them already this year. This challenge, rather. Ian says, seeing as we're in a new financial year, what do you think was the highlight of the channel last year? Oh, do you know what it is? If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think the last year's been my best year. I think I can't even remember what I've done in the last year, if I'm honest. The last year is kind of when I went through all those bits of issues where I was backwards and forwards to hospital and stuff, and it was one of them things that at the time I didn't really want to talk about. So it just looked like I was being a bit shady about not putting the work in, really. So this last year I don't think's been my kind of the best of my 5 years on the channel. But I'm trying to think back to what I've done over the last year. I'm trying to think. I'm looking on my shelf here of the things I might have covered in the last year. I can't even remember what I've done in the last year, if I'm perfectly honest. No, I couldn't pick a best. VGC, new financial year. When does it change in the UK? Is it end of June, start of July? There, it generally is April the 4th, mate. Tends to be when the new financial year starts. Well, it does for my tax anyway. My tax from April the 4th. It's a new tax year for me. So basically, I now have to do my tax returns for last year up until April the 4th this year. So my tax, but I have until January the 1st to do them, which is always a problem because everybody puts them off until the end of the year. So there you go. Anyway, on that tax chat, we're coming up to the end of the stream now. Just a quick question to those folks that are still hanging around. Did the crackling disappear when I moved the mic? I've kind of been just like holding it for the last half an hour or so. Did all the crackling go? Because it might have just been the dust mic, the wind mic thing rubbing on my hoodie, and I know not to wear this hoodie again in the future. Jess says, I'm annoyingly not able to paint anything, just trying to clear my order books before heading off on a new TV thing. Good that you're busy though, mate. Work's work, buddy. Phil says, I've finished my challenge for this month and a loose end knowing what to start for next month. Any clues? I'll be honest, mate, I'm not that sure. I've wrote it down somewhere, but I need to find out what I wrote down now. James saying, no, it crackles when you're loud. Does it really, mate? Ah, well, actually, maybe if I just move it away. It doesn't, the thing is when, like, so on the screen I can see it, and it never tips out. It never goes really, this is the crackle came back as soon as I asked. I wonder if it's this microphone. Hey, who knows? Who knows? We'll sort it for next time, though. We'll sort it for next time. He's saying sounds like a dodgy connection or cable. I wonder if it's just not plugged in quite properly or something like that. It's a wireless thing I'm using. So I've basically got this lapel mic, and then I've got these wireless. Actually, I tell you what. One way to find out, if I unplug that, so you should still be able to hear me now. And now it's using the microphone that's in the Rode mic now. So is that still crackling when I do it like that? Because if it's still crackling now, it could be the connection at the other end into my kind of audio amp and stuff like that. VG says, why not get a desk mic like a Blue Yeti? I've got a desk mic, mate. I've got a really good Rode mic that I used to always use. But it was just the fact that it was basically, it was just the fact that it used to be in front of my face and stuff, and I've got these, and I've used these every week. Nobody's ever mentioned about the sound before, and everyone's saying, yeah, it sounds better, there's no crackle. I wonder if it's just a bit of a dodgy connection on this microphone then. So, who knows? Maybe there's a bit of a nick in the cable or something like that. I've got two of these mics actually. So, I'll tell you what, we might as well do a little bit of audio. We'll do a little bit of audio testing while we're here. So, what I'll do is I'll plug it back in. Oops. And then we'll try it again now as well. Lord Bain says, please speak directly into the box. So I can see on my screen there from the audio mixer from Streamlabs that it's never hitting the red bit. It's in the right area. It's always where it needs to be, and it's where it is every week. And I haven't done anything different basically from every other week, which is what annoys me when it comes to technology stuff. Just to see, we're behind the mirror now. There you go. It's weird. Plays Exile says you're louder with the little mic than the Rode box, which is weird because it looks exactly the same on my screen there. It might just be how close it is. Like, Lord Bain says, wait a minute, are you using a jack size changer? No, I'm not, mate. So what happens is there's a little adapter in there, basically because it takes it from a TRS to is it a TRSS? I think it is. Basically because it's just the way that these little things work, or if I take the microphone out of that, if I take the lapel mic out, there's a microphone in the top of the Rode thing, and I can turn it up and down. I've got an audio mixer on the bench over there as well, which has got the receiver end of it in, and I can see the little lines bouncing around on there as well. In fact, is it maxing? I wonder if it's maxing out on there a little bit. It does sound a little bit louder on. No. It's not going above the yellow line anyway. Needs more Gwyneth Paltrow head. Definitely. Ice Moon says could be synthetic material in the hood. Let's take that off as well. Then we've got the little. There you go. We can move the little hood off it as well. James is saying, yeah, it was happening then as well. Do it with bad dice, burn it, and then let the replacement watch? It's weird, isn't it? When you turned to look to the left, it crackled. There's some crackling on the lapel mic. When you said about it maxing out, I wonder. Honestly, like this is what's. Hang on. I've got an idea. Where is it? So, I've got two of them. So, I've got a dual setup, right? So, hang on. I'm going to turn the other one on. Right? So, when the little blue light comes on, there should be two microphones. So, we've got that one now. So, hang on. I'm going to turn the other one off. Because maybe one of them crackles and maybe the other one doesn't. So... There, is that any better now? Let me know if that is that crackling now? Does that one seem all right? We're just doing a bit of troubleshooting before I end the stream now, aren't we? Because it might be that I've used the same one every week and I've used a different one this week for some random reason. Who knows? And we'll see if that's what it is. It crackled when you moved to your left. We've changed the mic since then, haven't we? Yeah. I'm suspicious of all this newfangled technology. If I can't fix it by giving it a whack, I'm lost. I know what you mean, mate. Yeah, I mean, these are ideal. They're great for when I'm doing... do you know what it is? That did kind of peak a little bit there. Let me just... I wonder what it was. Very clear. Obviously, what a problem is machine spirits. I tell you what, it's lack of bacon. I think that's what it is. I haven't had bacon sandwich for a week. So if I turn it down a little bit, that should be. This is the audio version of visiting the ophthalmist. Yeah, is it better with or without? Yeah, let's keep seeing it crackles and see how. That would be terrible. Anyway, I guess that's what we need to work it out. But yeah, I mean these little systems are quite good actually. So basically, what I've got. It does seem to be particularly loud. I wonder if somebody's turned one of the volume knobs. It seems quite loud over there because I can see where, like, if I move it away, that's probably a bit better. You change the transmitter and not the mic cable. Yeah, I changed the transmitter and put the other mic back into it, just the same. But I must admit, it does look like it's kind of... So I've got like one of these, which is plugged into my audio amp thing. and it's got like a little digital display on it, and it tells me the volume levels, and I can see that looks a bit higher, and that would normally be a bit lower. So I wonder if somebody's moved something. Anyway, this is not very much fun for you. It just helps me, that's all. Still hearing some crackle. We'll find out what it is. We'll fix it for next week. Bacon. Anyway, thank you very, very much, folks. Totally appreciate you helping me out there at the end there, trying to do a little bit of fault finding, because it's not something I can do, to be honest. Like, for example, so the videos I've done for the box to board series were all done with the exact same system randomly. Anyway, I'm going to go and have a good night's sleep now. I want to get back into my own bed after a week away, and playing Excel says good night, sleep well, enjoy your next bacon buddy. I think I'm going to go for a little cup of coffee and a bacon buddy with my wife in the morning, because she's away with work for a few days, and then she's away all weekend on a bit of a girly weekend. So I think we get to see each other for about 5 or 6 hours this week. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you very, very much for your time tonight. It's been great to hang out. Appreciate that tonight's been a bit of a ramble, but actually, it's been quite a nice chat. I've quite enjoyed it. So, take care, everyone, and I will see you all. Well, tomorrow night, there's the next box to board video. There'll be another one on Friday, so don't forget to watch those ones. And then I will see you next Monday for the community painting stream. So don't forget as well, yes, painting challenge. You've got until Sunday to get your entries in. So take care, folks. Good night.